Great. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Heal Yourself Naturally. I'm so happy to be here with these ladies. Today, we started a little bit late on account of technical difficulties and whatnot. So we're happy to have all our viewers who are watching us live right now. Thank you so much. Uh, we're going to be talking about allergies today. In specifics, specifically we're going to be talking about seasonal allergies. We do know that the topic of allergies is extremely broad, and there's a lot of parts to it, whether it's from environmental things that causes people allergies or food allergies, and we do hope to come back and circle back to this broader topic and get down to it. But we have a lot of clients and people reaching out recently about seasonal allergies. Springtime has come. And so a lot of people are having flare ups. So we wanted to discuss a little bit more about seasonal allergies, what these flare ups do, how our body responds to them, what happens inside our body, what we can do to alleviate this, what herbs we can take to make your life a little bit easier, because people who suffer from allergies and an acute who suffer from acute reactions to seasonal allergies, we feel for you, so we really want to help alleviate it. Let's get straight into it. Hava, hi.
Hello.
You're looking down reading at something. I want to
Hello.
start straight with you. I want to start straight with you today. So let's talk about a little bit about, when customers come to you about seasonal allergies, what are some of the things that you ask first right away? Because some people's reactions, like when, springtime comes, it's from 0 to 100. Some people it's gradual. What are some of the steps that you take with some of your clients to help understand what they're feeling?
Well, okay, so what they feeling? Okay, well, what they
Yeah,
feeling?
I mean, because there's different types of
There is a
symptoms
different
that you
ones,
get from seasonal allergies, and some people, if yeah.
right? So if
Well, let's talk
obviously,
about some of these symptoms, and some people, over the course of the springtime, it gets better or worse, etc.
right. So usually, yes, we I do get plenty of calls about the seasonal allergies, and many people think that the fix is easy and quick, when unfortunately it runs much deeper. And the everyone have different side effects. Some have runny nose, they have itchiness in the eyes, they have itchy scalp, then they also sneezing all day long, and then they have a here there different patches on the skin. Just today I think 3 or 4 people had the issues with the seasonal allergies. This is so funny. Right away buildup of mucus, and I feel when the people come and they thinking that there is a quick solution, then I would like to tell you, unfortunately there is no quick solution, because basically we need to start cleaning out the house. And in reality we should not suffer from any allergies, because our body designed to fight and to be able to rejuvenate and fix itself and do what is designed to do. But because our misbehavior, I would say, our emotional status, all that causing the troubles. And whenever people they come, the first thing I will always ask, I know everyone said, "Oh, Chava, don't let us speak about the bowels." No, please. Well, unfortunately, I will have to say, clean the bowels, because they're so connected that I cannot just like avoid this important topic. Because as more garbage we keep inside, the more soon we become in contact with something that it's outside, the body reacts, oh, more toxicity, I cannot handle this anymore. And then when we start to seeing those problems. So that's why I'm always I want to really pinpoint this. Whenever you're suffering from allergies, the first thing is that you're backed up, meaning you have a lot of toxicity in your bowels. That's how it goes. And the next thing is dehydration. Most people don't drink enough, and that's why they become sensitive. The body becomes is so weak because so dehydrated. So I will also lack of sleep is another thing. Body is tired. When the body is tired, the immune system is not working, everything kind of crashing off, and that's when the allergies kick in. So that's how I usually see it. But the symptoms are for every case is different. I don't know why it's actually there's a different times for every season. With every season comes with different allergies. Some people have a allergy in winter. Some people have now. Some people have closer to the autumn. Everyone have their own timing. But I do know that most people they're suffering now when April kicks in, flowers start to bloom, and kind of everything awakens to life. And then I say then the body awakens to life because the body was sleeping, hibernating. No, that's how we say in English.
Yes,
Hibernating, yeah.
yes, yeah.
Hibernating. Okay, so then suddenly the body wakes up and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm full of shit. It's time to clean." And then the sneezing comes. Ay, ay, ay. So
Okay.
that's
So
that's
generally
basically what I would
speaking,
say.
people who suffer from seasonal allergies, like you said, every body, like person, reacts to different seasons. Generally, we get a lot of feedback from people that right now, this time of the year, like you said, springtime or come April, when things start to bloom, they the general population that has allergies has more flare-ups around this time. So someone who does know that from the previous years or it may even be their whole life that they suffered from allergies, they need to start cleaning their
Yes,
body prior to, so that come time for the season, they're probably will be less reactive, right? Is that
right.
what you're saying
Is
generally?
yes, the general that's what we need to do. We need to prepare our body. We need to clean our body so the next time when it comes in contact with something that's caused an allergy, then the body should be immune enough to be able to fight it, and that can be done by using different modalities. But that's the whole idea, that people think that just allergy comes out of nowhere. It comes because of the flowers, or becomes because of the animals, becomes because of I'm allergic to cat, or you don't allergic to anything. It's internally there is too much toxicity. When there is too much toxicity, we don't breathe, we don't inhale good clean oxygen, we're not used to remove toxins, and that's as soon we come in contact that something is triggers that's when we get an allergy. And that's how I really wanted to put out there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's talk from like Sarah, like a scientific or clinical point of view. What does your body go through? Like, talk to us about, like, the effects of the body and the steps of what happens, because I know it can become like an overactive immune system that causes these flare-ups. But talk to us about what happens in our body when we start reacting to something like that.
Yeah, so as someone who has suffered from allergies all my life, I can speak to this pretty pretty personally. Of course, Hava's right. It is an issue with detoxification. Many people become allergic more and more as they age as well. I think the first and foremost, the thing that really spurs it is a leaky gut. So when you have gut inflammation and it kind of starts with low stomach acid, but then if you have low stomach fire, you're not really digesting your food properly, and then your undigested food goes into your intestines and it can create inflammation, which over time can cause leaky gut. So then you're getting undigested proteins in your bloodstream, and then you become reactive to this. And this is why when babies are small, prior to 6 months, even a little bit, maybe up to a year, we're not really giving a lot of solid foods because their gut is still forming. And you can really introduce, if you introduce foods that are solid too quickly, your baby can become allergic to them. So that's really, that is a thing that happens. You want to build up your gut microbiome if you suffer from allergies, and usually it starts with leaky gut. So then your liver is having to clean up all your blood, so then your liver's all jammed up, and then and a lot of the things that are in our environment that we react to are proteins. These are proteins from plants, usually the pollens, right? Cats, there's some kind of protein they give off. Um, I guess it's called the dander. I have a cat allergy, and I have fall allergies, which is the ragweed. In New Hampshire, ragweed is pollinated by the air, so when it's windy, it's all over the air. And so people breathe that in. People are typically allergic to tree pollen, and that's pollinated by the air. So not so much plants that are pollinated by bees and insects. It's mostly the trees and the flowers that are pollinated by the air. So we're going to get a reaction with people who are sensitive. They have leaky gut, they have poor liver function, they probably have a lack of diversity in their guts. This is something that I've been working on for a good portion of my life. And so when I formulate for allergies, I am targeting the liver, I'm targeting the kidneys, I'm targeting the lungs, I'm targeting things that, all the major organs of elimination so we can get the pipes moving. And then I'm giving plants that are known as antihistaminics. So what happens is your body comes in contact with the protein that you already have been sensitive to. And and I'll go into there's other reasons why we become sensitive to things besides just leaky gut and eating solid foods too soon. But you come into contact with that, and then your body creates a histamine response. Histamine lives in cells that are close to the outside. So all our cells, like our skin has mast cells, our lungs have mast cells, even our stomach has cells like that that give off histamine. And that histamine is a response to that protein, which is an irritant. And that's part of the immune cascade, which causes inflammation, right? If you're asthmatic and you're allergic to certain things, you can get an asthma attack. Allergic asthma is very common. Um, you can get watery eyes and itchy nose. These are where all the mast cells hang out. So we want to clear the histamine, and that's what these antihistaminics do to some degree. They stop the histamine response, but there's also things that we can use to clear the histamine. These are the detoxifiers. The other thing that really sets people up for allergies is the vaccines. All these childhood vaccines, especially with children who are under methylators and they're very sensitive and susceptible to toxins, become reactive. And there's some literature out there, and many of the doctors and other scientists in the health freedom movement have mentioned that children who are exposed to certain things, whether it's, getting your vaccines in the fall or getting your vaccines in the spring, you can become allergic to your environment. And if you're eating foods and you get vaccinated, you can become allergic to the foods, because what vaccines do is it can cause leaky gut. There's antibiotics in a lot of these vaccines that right away hurt the gut. And then if you get those proteins in your bloodstream, you become allergic. So those are the two main mechanisms which we become allergic. We're not supposed to be allergic to our environment. We're not supposed to be allergic to our food. I mean, all this stuff is more or less, I would have to say, modern disease. How far back does it go? I'm not one to say. I'm sure people suffered from some allergies before vaccination with all the different types of pollutants that are in our environment that can cause leaky gut, but that's essentially what happens. So that's soup to nuts, how it occurs in the cascade and what happens.
Yeah, no, I love that because I think people need to understand really what is an allergy, why, how our body reacts, why it reacts, in which parts. And so I think you kind of really, I mean, you really broke it down into all the different body parts. And like Hava also highlighted, it starts in the gut. And we have circled back to the gut on every single of our episodes because we really want to have our viewers and listeners understand that all dis-ease, as Sarah likes to call it, starts in our stomach and in our gut and what we put in it and how it affects our stomach. Also, like you said, antibiotics that are in a lot of things, which I didn't know they were in childhood vaccines, but it makes a lot of sense. Um, so yeah, we have to really understand that, if we're starting from zero, from a child that is just born, and we do things like you mentioned, not introducing foods until they're really young, holding off or extending when they get these vaccines, or monitoring or noticing which time of the year they're getting it, et cetera, what they're introducing while doing it, and then seeing if it's the case where they do become allergic to things or not, because the likelihood, yeah, the likelihood of them building an allergy or getting one is very slim if a parent starts from stage zero and takes care of their child in the proper way, right? With good food, good nutrition for the mom as well, while she's caring, et cetera, et cetera. So now that we've covered some of the symptoms, what we've been hearing a lot of, how and why our body gets these types of reactions, I want to talk more about the herbs that we can use, or different methods that we can use to alleviate symptoms of allergies. Right, symptoms are good, symptoms are telling us something. So if someone is getting allergic reactions during the season, so we want to see that in terms of like having a symptom, so we know how to address it. Obviously, we said the gut needs to be cleaned out. You mentioned also helping the liver and the kidney, the lungs, and then adding to it antihistamine. So now let's, Chava, what are some of your favorite herbs that address these different organs, major organs, and some of your favorite like antihistaminic herb? Is that how
Right,
you say it? Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So,
some
so
antihistaminic herbs that we can use if someone is experiencing allergies in the throughout the seasons.
right. So there is many beautiful herbs that available to us. And always I suggest the bowel food formula, which contains a very powerful herbs to clean the gut. Um, um,
This is your formula, right? The one that
yeah,
you,
that's
yeah.
my formula, and it's very successful. And I see when people are really on top of it, like, and they do move their bowels, then they usually see relief from some symptoms. And the herbs are in there are very good to cleaning the gut flora. Like golden seal is very good, and then the
Cleaning or aiding the gut flora?
cleaning and aiding. Well,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there is when we do basically herbal combinations, we usually try, as Sarah mentioned, combine couple things, the ones that also help the liver and the ones that also help the bowels, right? And the kidneys as well. So let's say the fennel will do the job, and so on, so on. So, but the idea is in the beginning that they clean the bowels no matter what. And another wonderful herb that we usually, I don't know, we found speaking a lot about it. It's the bark, the root, that helps to clean the blood, but also helps to move some dirt out of the system, and then garlic is another my favorite herb to use it. Then echinacea is wonderful to use it to help to really, help the body to kind of maybe relax a little bit, and they also regenerate and help the immune system, because basically the herbs are there just to help. They are not the final solution, they're just there to give you a hand. But then many people have this issue. They think that if I give you a medicine and you hop in your mouth, but you don't change what brought the problem in the first place, then everything will be fine. That's not correct. And I really want to put out there. It doesn't matter. I can give you the best herb, but if you continue eat the crappy food and you think that the superfood or this certain thing will help you, then you are mistaken. Then you actually might aggravate more situation, because then the body doesn't know what to do. From one side you're helping, but on the other side you don't do the change. So it needs to be all in combination. You cannot just eat crappy food and expect the herb will do the other, help you. It needs to be all working synergetically. So that's very important. Okay, so really I want to put it out there, because many people have misunderstanding. They think the herbs will solve the problem, like the
Well,
same they
even
have.
pharmaceuticals, it's the same thing. They think
Right.
that a
Well, but the
pharmaceutical
idea
medicine
is
will
that
eliminate the
this is
issue.
what we've been taught. We've been taught that give me a medicine and will solve my problem. It doesn't work this way. I'm sorry. And
Yeah,
also it takes time. Okay, so that's one thing. Next thing, that when we already suffering from the problem, and now it depends on each case individually, right? Some people
right.
have sneezing, some people are itching, so what you do, so you have to really accordingly to work accordingly to the each case. Because like Sara mentioned, ragweed, right? Ragweed is absolute amazing herb and need to be given in the small amounts to help someone who is very sensitive to the ragweed, right? And many people, they're suffering from this allergy, specifically to the ragweed. So that might be very helpful to take a ragweed tincture, a few drops throughout the day, right? The only problem is that people get used to it with the time, so you kind of have to play around. So let's say if you know that you have environmental, then ragweed is wonderful. And then another herb that it's an eyebright. Eyebright is also very wonderful herb that helps with with the reaction. Another with allergy reaction. And then when it comes to itchiness, let's say when it comes to itchiness, then I would usually suggest to drinking more salty water and then clean the blood. So now red clover comes into the picture, and that's what I would suggest, to start cleaning the blood. Now that can be given with a little bit bark root, red clover, little garlic, all these in combinations. And that can be very helpful to start removing toxins out of the system and cleaning the blood, right? Because as we said, you clean the gut, but if you don't clean the gut, then the same toxin travel all around, right? So we do have to address the bowels, then we address the blood. So these herbs are absolutely incredible. And then I don't want to mention all the herbs, but Sarah, the nettles are very good. The nettle are very good, and I would suggest nettles in some cases as well. And the nettles are incredible, and they are really, really helping. Now there is many other herbs that I'm gonna leave some for Sarah, but I do want to mention something, that it's not an herb, but it's a product made from flowers and herbs, which is a honey. And everyone should take local honey from their local area where they live. Like, so if you live in Hawaii, get the honey from Hawaii. If you live in California, get the honey from where you live nearby. Because if people have allergies to the environment, so either, as Sarah mentioned, because of the herbs, blah 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 blah, so those actually are inside the honey. So all the products,
Um,
honeycomb, honey itself, and taking it even by honeycomb mix combined together and chewing through the day, couple times a day, can slowly build your immunity to the environmental issue. So that's why it's very important, as soon the baby maybe hits one, start slowly, give him a little bit honey from the local area that will build up your immune system and his immune system. So that's what I would suggest. And it's absolutely incredible. Any other things? Well, there is plenty other herbs that I can mention, but I'll leave to Sarah.
Okay, great. No, I think you covered a good amount in terms of the different reactions, or rather symptoms, how to help alleviate it. Sarah, do you want to touch on any, like even the same reactions or symptoms? Do you have any additional suggestions? And if not, like, can you mention some of the antihistamines,
Yeah.
that are effective?
Yeah. So we kind of look at um, an allergic reaction histamine response like a teacup.
Okay.
And the more exposure to for that person to your irritants, the fuller the teacup gets. And then once you've been exposed enough, that teacup overflows, and then we get this response. So usually people, and I like to use myself as an example because I'm that person that, I have several sensitivities to food and allergies to environment. So if I can keep my food, you know, clean, so I don't do a lot of dairy, I keep the wheat under wraps, and I'm careful about the sugar because those are the three main triggers. Soy is awful for me, especially in its um edamame form. I'm highly allergic to that, so I try to stay away from that, obviously. But so I'm talking about sensitivities. So if you can, so the one thing I do suggest people do if they suffer from allergies is to just think about all the things that they know they're allergic to, and to keep them at under a minimum. And you'd be surprised at how little you react to even to seasonal allergies when you can get the gut stuff under control. Okay, so that's one thing.
So food
Um,
sensitivities, you're saying,
Food sensitivities are directly
manage that
related to reactions to other
to
things.
seasonal allergies. Okay.
Right. So the seasonal part even it can be dust, trees, the flowers and all that.
Right.
So I have a formulation that I use pretty regularly for everybody for the most part. It works for just about everybody. It actually helps people with the asthma as well, that reaction that typically comes with it, right? That
Right.
atopic allergies, asthma, eczema, which we're going to talk about eczema in another podcast. So, the formulation that I use is nettle leaf, which is the main ingredient as an antihistaminic. It's also going to help filter the kidneys. And it's also very high in nutrients, especially minerals. So it's going to give your liver the things that it needs. So that's like a triple whammy.
Right.
Nettle all day long.
And kava mentioned it cleanses the blood, so detoxifies you.
It
So it does
detoxifies. Well, it
does a
actually,
lot. Yeah.
yes, it supports the liver, it supports the kidneys. I use lemon balm, which
Hmm.
is an amazing antihistaminic, and it's
Right.
calming,
Right.
and it coincidentally supports the thyroid, is antiviral. It's all this good stuff, and it increases acetylcholine in the brain, which that's nice. Ginkgo, ginkgo is
Right.
amazing as an antihistaminic. But again, we're supporting the brain, we're supporting our memory. Ginkgo is also a heart and circulatory tonic. So we're going to be really just like supporting that whole process as well, especially for people who suffer with asthma. Ginkgo is a nice ally. We have to be careful with blood thinners on that one. People are on blood thinners. Um, what else is in there? Those are my main, and then burdock root is usually in almost every formulation that I have because it's so nice for the liver. It's slightly sweet too, so people typically don't balk at the taste of it. It's like grounding and nourishing, and it's going to really help cleanse the blood. Um, what else do I put in there? Potty arco. Potty arco is nice too as an immune supportive, and it's going to help with with the allergies in general. So that's like I usually put like 6 or 7 things in my formulation, and that's my allergy compound. And I'm usually dosing people depending on the time of year and the severity of their allergies. I usually like to upload, which means I load them up at the beginning and then they can take less and less as time goes on.
Reduce,
Like
yeah.
60 drops 3 times a day, and then I'll do that for like 2 or 3 days. And then you probably only need like a couple of droppers full, like 60 drops a day once you upload that way. Um, and that's how I do it. And I also again would suggest people try to reduce the exposure to the allergens, which is almost impossible when it's ragweed season, of course, unless you're walking around with a respirator, which I don't recommend people do. So we're watching other food sensitivities and things like that. We're cleansing the blood, we're reducing the histamine response and reaction in the body, and it will stop the nose from running. It will help the lungs deal with it, especially if you're asthmatic.
Right.
Um, and so yeah, that those are the herbs that I typically use, but I will also suggest people go on some kind of mushroom supplement as well. So mushrooms are amazing at supporting the immune system. And I usually use several different ones. I have like a blend, a 14 mushroom blend. But you don't have to use all the mushrooms. You can, reishi is really nice, chaga is really nice. I was talking to this lady in the shop one time, and this was this isn't even what I do, but she's like, someone made me this chaga paste. It was this really cooked down concentrated chaga mix, and it helped stop some kind of really bad reaction. I even forget what she was reacting to. But it was like, she's like, I just had to take a little teaspoon of that and all of it would go away. I'm like, that is really good advice. So, chaga tea every day will help with
Right.
the allergic response. It's anti,
Right, because it's also helping the gut.
and
The
it's
these
helping, well, there are
yeah,
anti-inflammatories in there
yeah,
and antioxidants, which if you can get the inflammation down, you
right.
you stop the response because histamine is that part of the immune system, the complementary immune system, right? Histamine is given off to get all the other immune cells on board to get them there. Histamine's like, hey, hey, over here, over
And then
here.
the immune system kind of overreacts.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then it comes in, and then all the immune cells, and it causes more inflammation. Now you got a ruddy nose and watery eyes, and
right.
so we want to just tell the histamine to shut up for a second. Just relax. We know you're there. Go back to sleep because it's
Yeah,
that
and then address
overreaction.
everything else. The toxicity in the blood, support liver, support kidneys,
Yeah,
flush, 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 flush all the garbage in your gut, and you'll see results. And you
absolutely.
won't have these flare ups during the season. And then if you're just, enjoying yourself come winter time again, and you're eating all this garbage and you're drinking a lot of alcohol because of the holidays or whatever it is, you're more likely come spring again to see, it's a vicious cycle. So you can prepare ahead of time. We always suggest to prepare your body ahead of time. Um, when you have your body reacts a certain way to changing of seasons. We're talking. I'm mentioning specifically springtime because we do see a lot more people with spring allergies. But again, like you said, it also really depends on where you're living, and a lot of people have fall allergies, autumn allergies, etc. So, and
Yeah,
generally speaking, the formula that you have mentioned covers all of that, all of those seasons,
it
right?
does. It
Um,
does. And I can just say too, for myself, I moved to Colorado after college and I lived there. And mind you, this was a person that could just walk into a house and not see a cat. And all of a sudden, like within 5 minutes, I'm like wheezing and sneezing. I call it, I turned into a dwarf. I'm all the dwarves, sneezy, grumpy, dopey, and wheezy. the
yeah,
Not many people know about wheezy, but
sleepy.
sleepy. But I moved to Colorado and I never had an inhaler. I could eat whatever I wanted. I biked 20 miles 3 times a week. all my allergies were gone, unless there was a cat. And I knew when someone had a cat.
Yeah,
But it's really about keeping your teacup empty. It really
right.
is. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Now, this formula you mentioned, is it on your site as well? Can people visit your site and get it?
maybe.
It should be.
I
But
don't know.
I'm gonna mention it
Honestly,
regardless because I
yeah,
know the one Hava mentioned for the gut is definitely on there for her. You have a gut formulation too. So I
yeah.
want to mention both websites to anybody who's listening. sarasherbs.com and havawellness.com, HAVA wellness.com. Sarah's with an S, herbs.com. Um, so yeah, you can see these formulations on their websites as well as contact them for consultations. And then if there's something that we've spoken about in the past that, either one has mentioned that they make but is not on the site, you can always reach out to them. You'll see their email addresses or phone numbers or contacts on the website. Please reach out. We love to hear feedback. We love to help. That's what they're here for. They do this because they want to help. They want to change people's lives. But it's obviously always in your hands. So, like both Hava and Sarah mentioned, you can take all these things to help alleviate at the time. But then again, if you're not changing your lifestyle with it, then these problems are just going to come back. Or it's kind of a redundant thing to do is to take something for your allergies and then you're still adding to it, like you're still doing things that are you're like eating foods that are sensitive to you. On top of that, your body kind of just doesn't know how to react anymore because you're still introducing it to the environment that you're in. You're eating all of this garbage, but you're taking a bunch of medication that's supposed to, medication, it's not medication, herbs, excuse me, that is supposed to help you, but your body just doesn't know what to do. It's like, I'm trying to help you out here, but you keep dumping on me and dumping on me and filling up my teacup, and I just don't know what to do. So we always want to mention anybody who is trying to heal themselves naturally. Um, it is a lifestyle choice and a change that you have to make and be ready to make. We always love to give suggestions for different herbs, their functions, how your body functions. That's why we kind of break it down throughout our podcast is why, how, what to take, what results to expect. But if you are not putting in the work and not changing your lifestyles, your environment, your stressors, um, all of the above, then we do not expect for you to see long time results or to be able to cure yourself from any of these problems or diseases. Because at the end of the day, they are everything that we talk about is curable. Not just can you help manage it, you can cure it, but someone has to be extremely aggressive in their approach and their change of their lifestyle and their surroundings in order to see that type of result. Like, Sarah mentioned, she lived in Colorado and she didn't have any of these allergies. I know people that have moved. I had a family member, she moved to New York and she never in her life had any allergies here in California. The second she moved to New York, it all year
all came back.
round,
Yeah.
she just it was nonstop allergies, and she's like, I've never had an allergy in my life. I lived my entire life in California and I never had an allergy. I moved to New York and nonstop. And so she ended up doing like a surgery um to help it, but obviously it didn't help whatsoever. But help the reaction that her body was giving, because again, she's in a different environment, the food is different, the water is different. She was eating out more because she's in New York City. It wasn't like the lifestyle she had here where she lived in like a suburb where she could go shop for her food or make her own food. So the lifestyle was completely different, and her body decided to, start reacting.
Hmm.
And once she moved back home to California, no more allergies because she was eating home cooked meals. She took care of her body more. So yeah, it's not just about where you are, it's about what you're doing, how you're treating your body, what you're eating.
Yeah, we should
Um,
probably also talk about the medications that a lot of people take.
yeah, please
Well, like just
go.
the damn, well, it's like
Like
why,
nasal
well,
sprays and all that fun stuff. Are
I
we
mean,
are we talking about what people use for allergies or what?
yeah, yeah, like
Yeah,
the reason why Hava and I do this stuff, it's not because, we think it's just kind of fun to use the plants and we're offering up our knowledge and we're also learning ourselves about ways to keep ourselves healthy because the alternative is not really a good choice.
no,
And when we look at like, again, antihistamine girl, I took these, my mom gave me these pills when I was a kid, and then I was popping Sudafed all the time. These antihistamines kill your liver. And they're associated with a lot of modern diseases because what I believe they do, just like Tylenol, I think it's acetaminophen, right? Is
yeah,
it kills the
Yeah.
glutathione. It kills your liver, so that's all associated with a lot of these other modern diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, things like that. So that's why we offer alternatives. Those nose sprays, you get people who use those all the time. All you're doing is killing your mucosal layer.
right.
And when you do that, you're
Shredding it every time you
spreading it.
spray.
You
Yeah,
get you start getting polyps. Then you got
right,
to go in for surgeries. They're gonna go in there and hoe things out. Like it's horrible. These
right,
these like steroidal nose sprays or any of those nose sprays are terrible for you, right, Hava?
right.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because they're not really treating the issue. They're kind of putting a stop to a symptom. And that's why I kind of mentioned in the beginning, and Hava says this a lot, is when your body is speaking to you and giving you a symptom, i.e., like a fever during a cold or a flu, you have to say, like, wow, thank you. Now I know what to do. Right. You have to thank your body for properly functioning so you can say, okay, now what do I do to treat it? Okay, so I get seasonal allergies. My eyes start itching, um, things of those sorts, right? We didn't mention compresses and things like that to help alleviate, but I think that's just kind of a, you know, um, like a obvious thing to mention. But my point is that what these pharmaceutical drugs do, instead of aiding your body in healing itself, right, so that you don't react, these pharmaceutical medicines, what they do is they kind of just put a stop for a second, give you a little breathing room, and then it comes back 10 times worse,
Yeah,
right?
they suppress. That's all they're doing.
They suppress, and then not only that, like you said, certain antihistamines that are on the market where you can buy in pharmacies, they actually harm your liver, so they bring on different diseases. And so it's just a vicious that's
Vicious.
that happened to me yesterday too, where I was like, that's not it. Vicious. I think I said sushi or shusi. It's just like, I don't know. It's the S's the last two
Sushi.
days.
Sushi.
But anyways, what it does is it actually harms your body in the long run. You are going to suffer more. And yeah, you're bringing on different diseases in your body because you're not really helping yourself. Um, Hava, do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, yes, obviously. I always have something what to
I
add.
know, I know. We're gonna do our closing statements, which is gonna be the next half hour, people. So
Okay. Well, um, I do really want to teach people the simple basics, and because I don't remember, like here in America, we become so sensitive that we are sensitive to everything. And I remember in Europe, we lived by the Black Sea, and there was a black mold on my shoes. Yeah. And I never had any allergy. I don't remember stuff like that. and it's like always comes into my mind, like, why here we are oversensitive, why we are here so. And another thing comes into my mind also, because we're not happy, like we are actually not one of those happy places, unfortunately, because we live in a very stressful time. And like I remember what already my grandfather, he had a fun job, wake up in the morning, go do his art. He was a famous artist, and my father is a famous musician. So like they do what they loved, and there was no pressure to pay your mortgage and pay your taxes. And basically in California they're hiking taxes now more, which puts more pressure on people. So that's like you really live like, there was this nice video of the human that he has a dollar and he's running basically to his grave after the dollar. That's not life. But in
Chasing the carrot.
America,
Yeah.
I
The
know,
the
but
horse
that's
chasing the
but
carrot.
that's but this is how we are in America. We are not happy. And because in reality mold is nothing, your body knows how to take care of it. Almost everything our body is designed to fight off, because if we put now humans in a very harsh conditions, we still can survive, we still can have a life. And if you look at the people who live in the worst place, or the times they were, even if you go to the Holocaust, you see those people living till 90s. How? They've been suffered, malnourished, they didn't eat any food, they eat the garbage, and they survive. Why? Because in reality the humans are very strong, but
Very resilient. Yeah.
those emotions, those problems that we are not happy, and that's causing us a lot of trouble. So we do have to find those tiny sparks where something will make us happier,
Right.
where we wake up in the morning and we should be happy with ourselves. And it's very important. My dear friend Kamen, he the master of a paida, he said we are a consumers, and that's why we are not happy. And for a couple days I'm thinking about that. What does it mean, consumers? That means that we all the time want to grab something from somebody,
Chasing. Yeah.
eating, take, when we actually have everything that we need inside of us, but we're trying to catch, to take. We need this, no, give me that medicine. And sometimes, like, you don't need anything. Just go into the corner, sit by the tree, or hug this tree, or sit on the map in your room, open the window, and just like speak with yourself. And we don't do this. We are not in a nation that we are connected to ourselves. And when we are not connected, we're looking for other sources. We're looking for this, for that, and doc, give me a quick fix. And there is no quick fixes. And that's what I want. If we can find a small spark in life and happiness, that's already will make us so much more happier and healthier.
Right.
And
You also
and then
mentioned something about, being outdoors a lot when you were a child. That kind of sparked another thing to mention, is that our society and the way our children are growing up is like in a very sterile environment where things are constantly disinfected, or they're taught to use hand sanitizers all day long instead of washing their hands, and they're outdoors less.
Infuriating. It's just
Yeah.
infuriating. And I'll
It's
give you one
just,
story, not to interrupt you, but
no,
when
please.
my youngest,
please.
when my oldest child went to school, this was 21 years ago, okay? And the only class, she went to kindergarten in public school, and then we pulled her out and did our own thing. But um, I was so annoyed by the fact that when they went to the bathroom, they only used the hand sanitizer.
I know.
And I said, why aren't you washing your hands in a sink with
Right.
water and soap? But that's what they were doing. That stuff is so toxic.
So toxic, and it kills good bacteria as well that we need to build an immune system. Like Kava mentioned, she would, there was molds around her. But the reason why your body didn't react to it is because your immune system was so strong from being outdoors, from experiencing these things that children nowadays are not experiencing. On top of it, they're eating highly processed foods and sugars, and so their body, their digestive system is not aiding the body, it's rather harming the body, and every of the major organs they start to get affected by it. But that's something I want to mention to people, either with young children, young adults, or adults themselves. Do not use that garbage. Do not sanitize and sterilize everything. Dirt and germs are good to an extent. Obviously, we do want to stay healthy and have good hygienes, especially when using the bathroom. But when you're out and about, and take more nature walks, touch the dirt, do some grounding work, breathe fresh
Lick
air
the grass.
outside.
Get right down there and lick it. Lick the grass.
Exactly. There are things that your body needs these types of germs, right? Don't be such a germaphobe with babies. Like if they're dropping, a pacifier, don't run and use those pacifier wipes. Like God knows
Oh
how
my
many
God, there's
chemicals
wipes
are
for that.
on there,
Oh my
you
goodness.
know. Yeah,
That's
the people do this
What's
type of
happening?
stuff. It's the real thing.
And
It's
you know
I'm
what?
real.
I
telling
just
you.
blame the fact that we are so disconnected as a society from our earth, which is exactly why
Yeah,
I do what I do and bring people out into the woods and say, look
right.
at this plant, you can eat it. Oh, it's not going to kill me. Oh, I'm so scared. We're so disconnected.
Because we're so lost touch, and we live in a
Yeah,
consumer, this is all,
absolutely.
it's all about consumerism,
Exactly. That's what I'm
fast
trying to say.
fast track, instant gratification. That's how people live, and that's why they're taking medications, because they're instantly getting results to stump these symptoms that their body is giving them, that they are not okay. And we need to start with our young children and babies. And even if you yourself are not practicing what you preach to your children, at least save them, right? That give them a fighting chance
Right.
to
And
be
it's
a healthier
important.
human being.
Right. And it's important too. You mentioned babies. There's so many C-section babies and people like
Oh
planning.
yeah, we didn't mention this. You
Well,
should
and
talk
that
about this.
really does set children up for allergies. To bring it back to
Right,
allergies too. Well, all this is, of course, it's all about allergies, but you know, they're like so far behind in building up that gut microbiome, because they're not going through that vaginal wall and getting all those good bacteria and inoculating the gut. And then
right,
if the mom doesn't breastfeed, well, that really kind of sucks. So
right.
that baby really is way behind in regards.
I know. And then they
Gut,
develop colic from all these formulas, and then you're giving them antacids, and you're destroying their gut even more, and their esophagus, these poor babies. And it's something that doctors, OBs do not mention to mothers, or hospitals, they don't either, that if you do have a C section baby, because, there are emergencies. Um, in an emergency case, that is the only time I see it fit for a mother to have a C-section. Otherwise, absolutely not. Even if it's painful, or you're not opting for drugs, or the drugs, whatever. I'm not judging, right? Everybody handles birth a different way, but they don't tell you that they need to go on probiotics immediately post birth. Immediately, the child
Right.
needs to receive probiotics, because, like you said, their microbiome is, they are way set back from a natural delivery. If you look at a stomach of a baby that's delivered naturally, right at 0 hours old, and a baby that is C-section, they are worlds apart.
yes, exactly.
Um,
We
You
need.
know,
but then if you do ask your doctor or pediatrician, if you ask them if that is true or should I do that, they're like, absolutely. But why don't they teach this? That
no,
is
they
what drives
don't.
me
Because
crazy, is
they
why
don't
don't they?
know. Look, they don't
Right.
know. And look,
No, some do. Some
some
do.
know, but most mainstream doctors do not know enough about not only the woman's body, but the baby. Like we are in an immune downgraded state when we're pregnant,
Right.
so we don't reject the child that's growing in us. And that
Right.
baby is an immune downregulated state. So everything, every antigen that you introduce to that baby via breast milk is introduced with all the mommy's good immune, immune bugs and cells, and
Immunity. Yeah.
her immunity is transferred through that breast milk. So, the idea of, for me, the main doctors not knowing this very crucial information is really what's, setting up many of
A
us with these
child. Yeah.
modern diseases, this horrible, not only autism, but the allergies and the cancers and everything else. Um,
So
and, and
devastating.
the fact that when women have babies and then they cut the cord right away, it's like, that blew me away when I realized that they were cutting the cord and not giving that baby the blood that it deserves and all the
Yeah,
stem
that's his own
cells.
blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you do a delayed clamp or whatnot in the hospitals, if you request that, it is not delayed.
No.
Okay. Because I've
We need
given
to let
birth in
that
one of the
sucker pump
best.
until it's dry.
Right. And I've given birth in one of the leading hospitals in my area, especially for deliveries. And it was quick clamp, quick cut, even though I requested at right when the baby count came out, like I want to delay, or I bank my cord blood. Um, and whatever. This is another topic. Let's not get into it. But then when I did a home birth for my last one, and I had an amazing team of incredible midwives. It was like up until it was completely,
Done. Yeah.
emptied, that they cut it up, like, right? It was still attached for such a long time. It was so beautiful to see, you know.
Awesome. It's just
Um,
awesome.
it really is. And I want people to do the research and ask more questions. And if your doctors are, defensive when you ask questions, you don't want to see those doctors anymore. No doctor should be defensive when you want to learn. So even when it comes to your allergies, if you are asking too many questions for their liking, you need to walk out of that office, because that's what they're there for, not just to prescribe a medication. They should be teaching you, but they don't.
They
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 don't.
don't
don't teach
know.
us.
They
No,
don't know. But
no.
by the end, it's our own responsibility, ask questions, and
Right,
because we've been not taught. On that note, I also want to add something, that we are a population that eating too much. That's another
right,
thing. We are eating too much, and the food has become like this area where we feel comfy, and food becomes no longer a nourishment but becomes just a fuel to fulfill our pleasures, let's put it this way.
right.
And
It's a
that's a
crutch.
big
It's yeah.
problem, and a big problem because the body doesn't need that much food, and if already needs, it needs a good high quality food, and we not learn about that, and we think that if we don't eat 3 meals a day, then we are all malnourished, and if we don't snack in between, that's not okay. And that's a big problem, and it comes again to the point that we always want to grab something and put inside our body, then learn how, vice versa. First, I understand your body, and then follow your body's needs, and the body will guide you. And it's very important
Right,
yeah, many people like to put everything into the boxes, and they tell you have to eat 3 times a day. Excuse me, but if I yesterday had a meal, let's say at 8:30, let's say, or at even 9 o'clock, or you know what, 10 o'clock, because I was napping in the middle of the day, and then I had a very late meal. Okay, so in some area, this is not okay. Fine, but the body knows what to do. So what will happen is in the morning, you're not gonna be hungry. So, but you need to fit into the box. You have to eat 3 times a day. But that's not true. Because if your body didn't send you a signal, hello, I'm hungry, then don't put in your mouth. But we do not, we ignore this voice, and we continue eating, and then we continue piling up. and then we continue more and more, and then we go outside, and then we watch movie and we're eating popcorn, and then we go to the listen to the music and people are munching on the hot dogs, and you come out from the music show, you go through the streets and there is a more chips and more cakes and more and more, and then you come home and you open the freezer. Okay, now let's have some ice cream. Okay, it's organic ice cream. It doesn't matter. Now you shoveled 100 different foods where your body says, hello, just stop eating, for God's sake. Like just stop eating, and
Yeah.
that's something that I never seen, that people are so here, like really in need of put something into the mouth. And if I say, let's say, don't eat in the morning or don't eat in afternoon, and suddenly if someone comes, okay, now that we do intermediate fasting, and so, oh, so now we are fasting, but if your body's screaming I'm hungry, no, now we are fasting, so now like break all those rules and start listening to your
Listening.
inner voice, and your body will guide you. And just forget about this fear, and everything symptoms that happens in the body is for the good reason. And that's the whole what I can say. Because if, let's say, you didn't have the runny nose, then where it would go, it will go to other areas. So be thankful that you have a runny nose. Now you can treat it, but instead
Right.
really using spray, you're stopping the whole thing. Like Sarah mentioned, we're in
And
trouble.
it has no way out. It's going somewhere
Yeah,
else.
so
A
so
different
that's
body part gets affected. It's a vicious cycle in the body when you're not listening.
yeah,
That's something that we've also mentioned plenty of times.
right. So
Sarah, do
that's
you
what
have any closing statement?
Well,
Or are we covered? Have we
I
covered
think
pretty much
we
anything
covered
and
it all.
everything?
I think just to recap, figure out what your triggers are, try to avoid them, support your organs of elimination, make sure your pipes are clean, including your digestive system. You don't want to be constipated. That can cause a lot of problems. Because
Hydration.
it increases your toxin load. Yeah, of course, drink an appropriate amount of water for your body size. Uh, and just be cognizant of how you feel and listen to your body. And
Right.
and if you're confused about what to do in regards to herbs, reach out to somebody. You don't have to reach out to us, but that would be nice. But reach out to somebody that is knowledgeable about formulations that can help with the histamine response. And
Right.
try your darndest to get off these horrible medications that don't serve you.
Right.
100%.
And then and on that note also, if you are someone that's struggling with your medications and you want to kind of wean down on them and your doctors are not helping, you could work with either a local herbalist or healer in your area, or again, call one of these wonderful ladies. They do stuff online, consultations over the phone as well. And, they're there to hold your hand because they do it, like Sarah said and Hava said so many times, they care. They actually care what happens to you. So when you go into that doctor's office and he's not listening to you and berating on how much you don't know and is shaming you for asking questions, but then writes a prescription and you're in that vicious cycle again, they don't care. They care about the next patient. They care about, the paycheck. These women do it because they care. We all care. And that's why we do this podcast as well, is because we want to give knowledge. We want to create awareness. We want to help the next generation of children to grow in a healthier environment, in a healthier way, so that they can pass it down to the generation after. So, yeah, that's our goal. We
That's it.
really hope you enjoyed our podcast today. We are going to, like we said, talk about allergies because there are there's a lot of different symptoms that come when you have other allergies, whether it be food or skin allergies. We are going to discuss it. This is how a lot of our topics are going to be moving forward. We could have just talked about all allergies together, but then look, we spent the last hour just talking about seasonal allergies. And so we want to make sure to cover a lot more information on each one of these subtopics. So we hope that you are going to enjoy our new format of our podcast. As always, you can reach us out on you can reach out on our social media outlets. We have our Facebook page, Heal Yourself Naturally. Please send us any kind of questions, comments, etc. If you have a fun topic that you want us to discuss, we're open. We're all ears. Thank you all for joining us on Heal Yourself Naturally. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye.